Hello there and welcome to yet another episode of our Fat Talks that come your way every Thursday here on Smart 24 on our Twitter spaces at Fidelis Leadership Institute, and we are faithful, available and teachable. Today I will take us through a very interesting conversation. We're prioritizing mental well-being in the creatives industry, and it's not just the creatives. By the time it hits the creatives, it means that several hundred of us have been affected in one way or the other. So call somebody to call somebody to call somebody to join the spaces right now, and also go to Smart 24 that is on DSTV, it is on GoTV, and join us and let's talk mental health. Before we go further, November is Mental Health Awareness Month. Did you know? Some of you don't even know what mental health is all about. You hear people talk and you think it is the latest trending topic in the city. No, it's big issues. And so with me today is a very wonderful lady, and she is a mental health coach, and she will be speaking to us about issues mental health, and she works with Strong Minds Uganda. If you've heard about Strong Minds, you know that they have been doing this work. They have been looking out for people that need help, and we all need help in one way or the other. So with me this afternoon is Asiat Nakaunde, and we'll be talking mental health. So please join our conversation on social media at Fidelis Leadership Institute, and also at, of course, Smart 24. We are live on the Smart 24, but also on our Twitter spaces. Do not miss this important conversation. Asiat, I'm very glad to have you, and a very good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too.
Wow. So here we are. Mental health. Where do we start from? When it comes to mental health, and I'm asking a very genuine question because mental health is misunderstood. Mental health has been with us from centuries ago, and in as much as some people, some circles, some societies and communities have come to terms with it, have tried to define it, have tried to understand it, I think it's still quite an interesting conversation in Africa. Won't you agree?
Yes, please.
And how is that going? Let's start from there. Well, how is that conversation? How do we get here, by the way? Congratulations to mental health advocates. Here we are having a conversation about mental health.
Yes, thank you for inviting me for the show, and I am really glad to be here. Probably to take you back, let me introduce myself to the viewers, and I welcome them to the show. My name is Nakaunde Asia. Like earlier on introduced, I'm a mental health coach with Strong Minds Uganda. And Strong Minds Uganda is an international organization that treats depression as well as anxiety. And we have really done ourselves proud, as well as Ugandans, in providing services, because our services are free of charge. Yes, please.
Oh, wow. That's good.
Yes. Okay, so Strong Minds Uganda, we are in Africa as well as in the USA, and here in Africa we are here in Uganda as well as Zambia.
Okay.
Yes, and we are currently doing other international partnerships with other different organizations, but here in Uganda currently we are in 17 locations, and that is through partnerships as well as having offices in 10 districts.
Wow, in Uganda?
Yes, please.
That's fantastic. How is it going? I'm sorry to start from the top, but I'm curious because we still have a challenge of mental illness, mental health. So how is that going? How do you have all these offices, and what is the uptake?
Okay, we have built this over time because currently we are celebrating 10 years of Strong Minds Uganda, so it didn't come in a flash.
Okay.
So we have built it over time, but I'm glad we are coming there, and the partnerships that we are currently having are supporting us in reaching various places, because currently we are working with Mukobad. They are an organization that is concerned with HIV. We work with Window International, They are in schools,
yes.
Yes, and so that we can be in position to reach to students, because we know mental health affects at all stages.
Yes.
Yes, so we feel like if we come from that downer part of it up to up, I think it can be in position to help someone as they are growing up to know exactly what to do when they are challenged.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
Very interesting statistics there. And talking of statistics, I'm curious. So for example, in these different offices you have across the country, on a daily, how many people walk in?
Currently, we don't have walk-in, but in those different spaces where we are, or the offices where we are, we currently, so far over these years, we have reached over 200,000 clients.
How do you reach them? By phone?
Earlier on, we have very many platforms that we're currently using, because Strong Minds Uganda has a model called IPTG.
What does that do?
IPTG is an interpersonal therapy in groups.
Ah, right.
So that is a model that we use in order to provide counseling, and it's done in talk therapy, like how I am talking to you right now.
Well, for me this is therapy, by the way.
I know. So yes, currently how I'm talking to you right now, it's how we do it, but we are doing it in groups. It's not individual.
So you have like centers where people come together?
Not per se. We are working in those various communities, because we are upon the districts I've mentioned. We are working in Kampala, we work in Wakiso, we are in Mbarara, we are in Kotido, we are in Mbale, we are in Iganga.
So I'm trying to understand how you work in there, because if you're saying it is interpersonal,
yes,
I'm thinking, so you have a center and you say we have perhaps every Tuesday we meet at such and such a time. Is that how you're doing it?
No, it's a process of how we get to reach out to people, and that is done through awareness raising. Yes.
Okay. Now, Asiat, mental health, mental illness, could you kindly break this down for us? Because several times you say, this one, we even have different words we use, terminologies.
Yes.
This one is mad, this one is crazy. Could you break those two down for us? Because I understand mental health and mental illness is quite different from the other.
Yes, probably we can try to unpackage this from health. Like any other person, we feel like everyone has to be healthy. So how about our mental health as well? So when you come to mental health, this is a set of well-being that has to do with a person's social, their mental and physical well-being. And we are looking at a person's well-being in terms of how they are able to realize their potential. Even when they have stress, they can be productive, they can be fruitful to themselves, their family, as well as their community. So that has to do with mental health.
Mental health.
Yes, please.
Wow. Okay, so it's a state of mind.
Yes.
Both mind and body.
Yes.
Okay, so mental illness.
Mental illness, these are illnesses that affect our mind.
The likes of depression?
Yes, please. There is depression, PTSD, to mention but a few. Because there are quite a number, and all these illnesses that affect how we behave, how we think, and how we relate to other people. Wow.
So mental illnesses are the commonest?
Yes.
The other day I was reading in the news and they were saying that our referral, our mental health referral hospital is full to capacity.
Yes. And
they're saying they do not have alternative beds to, host other people who need help from the hospital. So what is the biggest problem? Is it mental health generally, or is it mental illnesses that we probably don't understand and they escalate?
Mental illnesses and the fact that people are not aware of them, and we don't know where to go. If this happens, where do I go? For example, like earlier on said, when we talk about health, you have malaria, you have HIV, you know where to run to. But with mental health, people are not aware of where to go to when something happens. Even before going to where you are going to seek for the services, do you know what this illness is? Because of the myths that you had earlier on said, that some people say you are mad.
Yes.
So someone feels like, the stigmatization that comes with all that, it makes people run away from even seeking the services. Yes.
So, because, I've encountered, and I keep saying this quite a number of times, every time I encounter a youth between the age of, between 18 and 26, they're either stressed, depressed, and they don't know what to do. Some of them are suicidal.
Yes.
I'm wondering why that age group.
Because you've talked about the adolescent stage, and how adolescence is
quite early these days.
Yes, it does, but however, it's also a factor, because even the parents, it comes from down, the parents, the community, as well as up there. We find ourselves that people don't have knowledge of how to handle certain situations when they come in play. So you don't know what to do at what point. Probably you have a challenging child, but what do I do? That is also a question. What do I do? Where do I go? Whom do I talk to in such circumstances?
And you did talk of awareness. Do we speak to parents? Do we speak to community leaders? Do we speak to ourselves?
Usually we are doing a lot, however it's limited, I would say. We find ourselves that because of that is why even I'm welcoming, and we are all happy about this topic, because currently it's talking about mental health. And I feel like if we are having more and more of these discussions, it can be in position to create more awareness, so that people can get to learn what is mental health, what are the mental health illnesses, how do I recognize that I even have.
Exactly. That's the question I was going to ask.
Yes.
Because as we see all these things happen around us, when do I realize? Because I think the biggest problem here is that we're just not aware of what's happening. And like you said, we are really not aware. We don't know what to do, how to go about it. And this is why I asked, do we speak to parents? Because parents need to understand that there's a thing called depression.
Yes.
It is a thing they claim is an African.
Yes.
And our parents out there need to know that there's depression, there's stress, there's anxiety, and all these things are illnesses. But for an individual, at what point, when is that coming out of, I don't know if it happens to other people, but as me, I am always listening to myself, and I'm like, hey, why are you behaving this way? But it took time for me to learn that, because I also went through some sort of depression at some point, and it was a thing. And then I realized, hey, it is actually a problem, so I need to get out of it. But not for everybody. So at what point do I realize there's a problem? When
you look at the symptoms. For example, you have mentioned...
How do I self-diagnose?
That is where we come in. To tell you about depression, what do you understand by depression? What are the signs and symptoms where I look at myself and I'm like, I think something is not right? For example, take a look at malaria. It was made very well that everyone, you feel yourself, you have a headache,
joint aches, yeah.
So even when you are not having malaria, you already have those tips by your fingertips, and you're like, I think let me go to the hospital. Why don't I see a doctor? So that is why we come in, so that we get to make it as simpler as possible for everyone to understand the symptoms, such that when you realize them, you can be in position to seek for help. Yes.
Asiat, allow me, for many people, especially our youth who are actually into the creatives industry that we are speaking to today, they're easily excited. And then when something does not happen the way they thought it out would happen, they get into a situation. They get a major problem. And that is the setback. The setback they encounter. So when I encounter that setback and I feel I am not as productive as I was, but again, not everybody is going to feel that they're not as productive as they were.
Yes.
So I need that moment where I need to know that I can can maybe walk up to Asiat, I can walk up to Teresa here and say, but I feel a certain way. What do you think could be wrong with me?
Yes.
Have we reached a point of openness, a point of, can somebody speak to me? Can I talk to somebody? And in your doings, in your dealings with these people, how has it gone for you?
I think we are there because reaching all the 200,000 people, I think we have done well as Strong Minds Uganda, as well as other organizations that we partner with. So I feel like probably we are not at a bigger percentage, and that's why we even call upon these talk shows to come in place, so that people get to know exactly what is happening, so that they can be in position to get a go-ahead of how do I talk about my feelings. And especially you've talked about November being a mental health month for men. It's very different for the men, but we have found it quite exciting because currently we have groups that are having therapy, but they're men.
Right.
And it's quite a surprise, and people don't feel like, oh wow, this is quite different. I never knew that probably men could come out and speak about how they feel.
Are you saying that more men are embracing therapy and embracing the issues around mental illnesses?
Yes, because we are looking at productivity. Because at the end of the day, if they find that they are not productive, then they are wondering what is really happening. Am I okay? And probably when they get to the hospital or anywhere, you are checked. But the doctor tells you, you're okay. How come you don't have malaria, you don't have this? But yourself, you're wondering, what could really be the problem? How come I cannot be in position to sleep? How come I'm really feeling tired? When I go to work, I've not done anything, but I'm already exhausted. What could it be? So at that point, when they go to the hospital, fortunate enough, they are being referred. Because currently we are working with, we have a memorandum of understanding with Ministry of Health, and we are getting support from them. So we are really very thankful, because at that point when people are referred, they can be in position to come for therapy.
But that's it. Let's come back a little bit. We are getting a little bit too technical.
Yes.
Why mental health? I mean, there's so much. There's so much. And let me tell you, I've had quite a number of people who say that people who are mental health advocates or coaches or anything have actually gone through moments of really bad mental health challenges. And so it is a stereotype of its own. But I'm asking you as why are there numerous options around us?
Then I'm also going to say, why not mental health?
Right.
Yes. Why being a lawyer? Why being a presenter? Why not being a mental health advocate? Because it's also a factor that we are feeling like really there is need for it. And also looking at the productivity of people these days and how people are behaving these days. Why not talk about mental health? So I feel like each and every one of us can be a mental health advocate in their own way.
In their own way, yeah.
Yes, and I feel like every organization, every office should have someone who is there to stand with people. Because, you know, these are things that come along the way as we are growing up, as we are at work, in marriage.
As we experience this life.
Thank you. As we are experiencing this life, things are happening back and forth. You have children. You have work, you have yourself, you have your husband, you have your wife, you have your family. So it's quite a number of things. So why not mental health? Because at this point we are feeling like productivity is really low in people. People are no longer being productive. They're not fruitful. And
maybe they are lazy.
I think it's not about being lazy.
Or maybe they don't have work. They're unemployed.
I don't think it's about that, but I feel like there are certain topics that probably we have not been in position to give so much attention. However, we need to, because we feel like for the percentage that we have supported, there's really a lot of productivity. And that's the creative part we are talking about. Because right now we are able to realize your potential. That means that you can be in position to do the things that you felt like those are things that I cannot be in position to realize. But right now someone is realizing things, and you are amazed at what they have accomplished.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who've just joined us, we are talking mental health, especially in the creatives industry. And we're just giving a background. Luciat here is giving us a breakdown of what mental illness is and what mental health is actually about. And we're trying to, digest and digress and understand where we fall, what we lack, and what we ought to know about ourselves. So you need to acquaint yourself with mental health, mental illness, anything mental conversations, because you need to be alert at a point, because all of us go through mental challenges at some point. The stress ever present. Depression, well, if you overthink through the stress. And there's so much depression stories going around, and there's a lot of mental challenges happening around us, and we're trying to digest this. So if you have just joined us, go to our social media platforms, that is at Fidelis Leadership Institute, particularly on the X Spaces, because we are live on the X Spaces, and we're also live on Smart 24. My name is Lynn Komjisha. With me is Asiat Nakawunde. We're trying to talk mental health. Now, Asiat tells me that why not mental health? I mean, everybody else is doing everything else. Why not mental health? So she's here free of charge today. Her consultation is free of charge. So she's speaking to us in terms of mental health awareness. Now, let's branch off to the creatives industry. We understand the pressures and for these creatives. First of all, we have seen many artists, we have seen many creatives come forward. They have actually, publicly said, I've been struggling with depression. Yes. I've been struggling with a few things here and there. And it has become a norm, sort of. We are trying, again, we are learning as a society. Yes. Because when they come forward previously, we'll be like, what? Oh, he ran mad? What happened? No, but now we're like, oh, now I relate. Yes. And also sometimes, it's been it's been said that many creatives take advantage of those moments to actually put out the best work. And it is said that most creatives have had the best works out there during their depressive moments, during their PSTD moments, and some of them have actually confessed to these things. And so with all that happening, there's a conflict, you realize.
Yes.
So somebody is suffering, but then they're using that to be productive. As you've been saying.
Yes.
Doesn't that conflict?
In a way, it relates because when you talk about them being productive during those times of depression, it makes sense a little bit, because sometimes when you are in that moment of depression, you find yourself that you have a story to tell.
Yeah.
Because of the pain that you're currently having, you feel like probably there is someone else who doesn't know what I'm going through, and I feel like if I do share, it can be helpful to them. So that is why you find that in a way they are productive, but they are producing, or they are being creative at that point, because currently they feel like they are at their low point, and they feel at this point, if
they
I'm
need
like
to be
this,
heard.
Yes.
Okay.
How about someone else who cannot be in position to speak, who doesn't have the platform?
Yes.
How can I be of help to them?
Yes.
So that's why even you see that people are writing stories. That's why you see stories are coming out. People they're putting out music that has to do with depressing moments. And just because they feel like people can be in position to give them a listening ear, and already we are people who are lacking that kind of information. So when it comes to us, we are really embracing it, because these are stories that we feel like they are not so much out there. And also look at the creatives. These are people that we emulate.
We look up to all the time.
Yes, and you feel like, okay, if Lynn is going through this, how about me? Because at one point we feel like these are exemplary people, these are people that we are looking out at, and you feel like, I think some things are not able to touch them. They are untouchable. But when someone expresses themselves and they tell you about what they're going through, you feel like, okay, So really, depression is a condition or an illness that can affect everyone.
But it's something you can deal with. Unless you don't find help.
Yes.
So I was reading somewhere, and they're saying depressed artists are trying to express their feelings through paintings, poetry, and fashion that permeates cultural consciousness. Now, I'm sure you've come across artists who are referred to as like, hey, that person is a dark artist. We don't get this person, like their music or their poetry or their art is a bit dark, is a bit abstract, like we don't get it. And here they are trying to actually speak. This is their way of speaking.
Yes.
Should we be paying extra attention to that, or should we just enjoy the music and whatever art they put out?
I think we should pay extra attention. And the only reason as to why we look at it in that way is because of the stigmatization.
Yes.
And probably we are not looking at the message that they're putting out, but we are looking at why are they doing that? Why are they producing such a thing? And probably we are not looking at what are they putting out? Why are they even doing that? So we are only trying to stigmatize them or give them a picture of what we expected. That's why you see it's very hard for people to let out, talk, share. It's very hard for them because you feel like, what are people going to say? How are they going to view me when they see me from a different perspective? So I feel like we are only being judgmental.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely, we're being judgmental, but we're also being normal about it. Because they're saying so-and-so is an artist, and that's their work, whatever. We're not paying extra attention, like you said.
Yes.
But this is an outlet for them to produce meaningful work. Most of them, and I don't want to really give many examples because we have quite a number of them who've encountered depressive moments and the like, and they've put out the best albums, they've put out the best paintings, they've put out the best designs and all those things, and we ask ourselves, instead we consume, whereas we should be giving them support. And as yet, what I've noticed with this is that they have constantly and continuously done this, and they've realized no one is paying extra attention, and they have rallied themselves. I'm seeing artists from the US, I'm seeing artists from within Uganda, actually. The example of Wanda J.R.
Yes.
He's a mental health advocate. His music, he sits here, I think he has a podcast as well, and they sit and have conversations around mental health. And so, because we as a society have refused to pay attention, they have rallied themselves, which is a plus.
Yes.
But where does that leave us?
I feel like it's a plus, but like you have said, where does that leave us?
Yeah.
I think they are just trying to show us that really there is a gap.
Absolutely.
Because they feel like through music we have been in position to pass on the message, but how come you're not getting us? How come we are not being heard? How come the message is not coming home? So they feel like, probably like you've said, JR, Wanda, he's having a podcast about mental health. So he feels like, probably let me use another platform because I'm right now known. How about I bring another platform that I can pass this message on so that it can get home. So I feel like they are trying their best, but however, like I told you earlier on, the stigmatization that comes with all that, it's making them feel like really the message that I'm putting out is not being heard. Yes.
Well, that's typical. Now we're looking at new media. The pressure is huge. The pressure to be creative, the pressure to put out new content, every other TikTokers, Instagram people, now X Spaces people as well, YouTube, the pressure is intense. Now I want us to come to a point of we have realized there's a problem, so we sit down and maybe try to understand where the problem is and sort of self-diagnose. Now in the case of creatives, they put it out in form of what they're doing. We never pay attention. I'm taking us through where we have reached. Now, after that, when we as communities, as strong minds, how do we reach out to these artists? How do we reach out to the creatives? Do you have like a group where you reach out to creatives and like, by the way, mental health is huge, or you have creative influencers talk about mental health? How do we as communities come in? How do we as people come in?
Okay, I think it comes back to awareness raising, because currently with Strong Minds Uganda, we have been in position to have, earlier on, we had therapy that was done over the phone. That even when you're here at your workplace, you can be in position to be joined in a session. However, we are having a revision. It's repurposed so that it can be in position to suit, so that it can be in position to come out in a way that is favorable to everyone. But currently, we are having community sessions.
Okay.
And currently, like I've said, since we are working in all these different locations where we're at right now, and through the awareness raising that we're currently doing, people are reaching out. Even through our number for Strong Minds Uganda, we are able to be heard, people calling, and we are able to refer them. And probably if we are not able to do that, we can be in position to refer them to someone else who can support them.
Asiat, what are the biggest challenges facing the two industries, mental health and the creatives, especially, but relatedly? What are the biggest challenges you think we ought to address as a society?
First of all, it's not being aware of how you're feeling. That's a challenge. Because like earlier on I said...
so are we supposed to take like short courses in self-awareness?
Not exactly. But probably we can try to seek, because knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
So probably if Lynn, you are able to know about depression, you can be in position to realize if probably a colleague, probably someone who is close to you tells you that, I think I'm having difficulties here. Or probably you seeing this person, for example, take an example of depression. When we're talking about depression, this is a state at which someone has consistent sadness as well as loss of interest in the things that were pleasurable to them. So for example, in here you are having this talk show and we find that you're missing.
Yeah.
They called you, you don't have a reason, but then you're missing. You haven't come. So you have lost interest in the things that were really pleasurable to you.
Yeah.
So you find that you have colleagues or friends that you have been talking to over the time, but even when they call you out, you don't go.
Well, I hope my friends don't think I have a problem, because I rarely go out.
Yes. So when they call you, you may be like, okay,
yeah.
How come? What happened to Lynn?
Yeah.
We are no longer seeing her. She's no longer talking. What could be the problem? So if we are able to know about some of these symptoms, we can be in position to know, I think I need help. For example, depression has 9 symptoms that we can look at. 9? Yes, please.
Okay. Guys, take notes. So depression has 9 symptoms. If you're on our tweet, on our X spaces, take note. 9 symptoms of depression. It is the commonest. Yes, take it away.
Like I said, persistent sadness. If this sadness is continuous and it has been there for quite a while, over 2 weeks and above, we wonder, how come? Why are you sad? That is a symptom. Looking at loss of interest, like I've said, in the things that were pleasurable to you. You used to be someone who has fun, but right now you no longer go out, you no longer have fun with your children, you have really lost interest. Even if it's your children, they no longer play. You start to wonder, what could be the problem? Why are they not playing? Some people love going for the movies, but right now you cannot be in position to go.
Okay, not because I don't have the money.
Not because you don't have the money. We are talking about the fact where you have the money, but you are unable to do that because you have less interest.
Okay.
Another point is you finding yourself that you feel tired.
All the time?
All the time.
Fatigue. I see it could be fatigue.
No, you find yourself that you really haven't done anything. It's not that there was stress at work or something like that, but immediately you start working, you already feel exhausted. And it's persistent. We're talking about persistence.
I'm sorry, let's slow down. I'm sorry, but most people, and I see them on our spaces, people who go to offices to work, you're constantly tired.
Yes.
So there's a difference between a burnout
Yes.
and actually a depression.
Yes.
And you need to take note of when is it a work burnout? Are you done with work? Are you like, I cannot do this anymore?
Yes.
But you need to listen and also know that it is not depression and it's just a burnout, or it is depression and not a burnout. Hey, we do self-awareness coaching here at Fidelis Leadership Institute. You might want to get into that. So, Asias, tell us another one.
Like you have said, we have talked about persistence. So sometimes people misjudge or misinterpret this because we have stress and we have depression. So for stress, you may find yourself that really it's over a short period of time. But for depression, it's consistent over a period of 2 weeks and above.
Stress is over a long period.
A small period.
Small.
Yes.
Stress. Okay.
You had an argument with someone and you're like, it's giving me stress. You have probably an assignment to accomplish. It's giving you stress. And by the time you're done, you're okay. But with depression, it's consistent.
It goes on for a longer period. Okay.
Yes. So we have talked about tiredness.
Yes.
It's really persistent. Over 2 weeks and about a month. And you're like, am I sick? Am I okay? Do I have malaria? That's why you see people going to hospitals. And you're like, I think something is not going right.
Now I understand why many youth are very sort of depressed.
Yes.
They don't have money.
Yes.
So it goes on for a long period. It's not a funny thing, but we are trying to understand some of these things. So depression goes on for a longer period, and you're constantly tired. We are giving you the 9 symptoms of depression that you should be able to look out for.
Yes.
And so far, sadness, loss of interest, persistent tiredness.
Yes. The other one is loss of appetite or gain in appetite.
Oh, it could be a loss or it could be a gain in your appetite levels. So you should be able to monitor your levels, okay?
Yes. For example, for appetite, you find yourself that there are things that you cannot do without. I love to eat a pizza, I love to go eat this. And you find yourself that even when they bring it, you're like, no.
Oh.
So everyone is wondering, how is Lynn not eating?
But me, naturally, I don't eat.
So yes, someone is wondering, how come you don't eat? Yet they find that this is something that you love eating.
Yeah, true.
You have lost interest. Others, you find yourself, someone is always snacking. They have something every time. I have something to eat on. They have a bite every time. So this person has gained appetite and they're eating, and probably this is a defensive mechanism someone is trying to put out there. Sometimes you feel like you have a lot of stress, you have a lot of thoughts, and you're like, I think let me eat so that I can calm myself down, and it becomes consistent.
It becomes a habit.
Yes.
Okay. Appetite. Next.
Then loss of sleep and gaining sleep. You find yourself that sometimes people lose sleep. You find it very difficult for you to catch sleep.
Yes.
When people are dreaming, for you, you are awake.
I have a number of friends who tell me, I gave up on sleep. I sleep for like 1 hour or 2 and I'm done. There could be a problem that you need to look at.
So you have to look out and wonder, why am I not catching sleep? Because when it comes to night, of course, everyone has to go to sleep because you have to rest.
Yes.
But then for you, you find yourself that over that time, you are working, you are busy. However, it's not like you have a deadline, but you are not catching sleep. Then others, they oversleep. By this time, someone is still in bed.
From the other night?
Yes.
You're still in bed?
Yes.
Okay.
You're still in bed. You find yourself that you really don't want to get out of bed. You sleep a lot. When others are waking up to go to work, when others are having other stuff to do, for you, you're still in bed. You're sleeping a lot, and you're also wondering, why am I sleeping a lot?
Yes.
Then loss of concentration in the things that you do. People get to work, they open up a laptop, but then you can even inquire from them, what were you working on? And they cannot be in position to tell you what they have been working on. They have really lost concentration. You find, for example, right now, people are watching us live. but someone may have their TV tuned on, but then when you ask them what has Asian and Lynn been talking about, and they're like, to tell you the truth,
who are those?
That? And
what was that? Where? How? When?
What time was it? But they're really tuned up, so meaning that they have really lost their concentration. They really lack concentration on what exactly they're doing. We have found times whereby, for example, let me talk of housewives. Someone is cooking food and their food is burning, but they have not even realized it because really their concentration is not there.
It could be some TikTok funny videos, Snapchat.
This person is really doing that activity and it's someone else who comes and taps you.
Oh, you're actually in the saucepan busy.
Yes.
But you're lost in that saucepan.
Yes.
Wow.
So your concentration is really lacking there.
Yes.
And also we find at times some people find themselves that they do move slowly.
Wow. Sorry for using the word. But you will find somebody walking aimlessly.
Yes. And also sometimes they're talking to themselves.
No. Some of us, like me, I talk myself out of stress. So if something is bothering me, I'm going to have a conversation with myself. Like the way I'm talking to you is how I'm going to talk to myself. I'm like, but how did we do this? No, I need to stop. So that is
probably good. That comes back to personality, and that is how you check yourself. Have I accomplished this? But this is different. Someone is either moving slowly than usual, and everyone is wondering, but that is a faster person. But how come their pace is really reducing? Oh, another person is moving very fast. And you're wondering, sometimes they're talking to themselves, and we, the people, the outsiders who are looking at these people, are the ones who realize that.
Yes.
And we even tell you, Lynn, is there a problem?
You know, we have friends, and we always want our friends to look out for us.
Yes.
But not every friend is going to look out for you.
Yes.
And so with all these symptoms, if somebody, because people, I don't want to go into the issues of friendships, because friendships, sometimes we misjudge them and we expect too much and blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to go into that. But if I see you almost every day. For example, we are colleagues at office, and I see Asia every day, and she has a particular way she does her things,
yes.
And then there's a switch.
Yes.
Should I be concerned, or is that kajanja?
You should be concerned. And that is why we are talking about this point, so that when you realize them, you can be in position to tell them. And also when someone else also tells you, you can be positioned to have a check in yourself, and you're like, oh wow, probably I hadn't realized this.
Some people will push you away. Be like, can you mind your business?
And probably that is because they are not aware. But I feel like if we are in position, and we are talking about people not being able to share, they are not free about sharing their feelings, so probably it comes back to that. That's what someone says, you have kajanja.
So when we see all these, are they done?
No.
Okay, let's go on. Let's first finish them.
So the last one is suicidal thoughts.
Suicidal thoughts, the most common of them.
Yes, suicidal thoughts. You feel like someone is telling themselves, I feel like I would be better off if I'm dead than alive. What am I still doing here?
Okay.
And the conversations that they're having, they're all related to death. Most of the time. I'm
tired of this life. I don't like my life anymore.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's really painful. As
well as feeling worthlessness. You feel like you're useless to yourself.
But you could feel worthless if, for example, you have no job, or perhaps you wanted a family and then you don't have a family. And then there are lots of issues that could make you feel worthless. So how do I distinguish?
So that's why we have to have a combination of all these symptoms.
Right.
Yes. So if you find yourself that you're currently having all these symptoms that I've talked about, then of course we have to wonder, what could it be? Why is it like this? So that's where the question comes in. That's why you see people going to the hospitals, trying to find out, why am I feeling like this? So that is it. That's why we want to have this conversation, so that people get to realize what could be the problem. At this point, probably while I'm sharing, someone is checking themselves and they're like, oh, I've seen someone being like this. Oh, they're checking themselves right now. And you're like, I think I haven't been sleeping. My appetite has really reduced, or it has gained.
But you can easily mistake these symptoms for other illnesses.
I know.
And it's very easy. Now, I want us to go back a little bit to our creatives. Our creatives are exposed. They are under immense pressure to deliver, to be as productive as possible. And in most cases, they run to drugs, substance abuse, maybe alcohol, and some of them, they'll tell you they will not go on stage unless there's a vibe. You get the vibe I'm talking about. Some of them are not going to go on air. The likes of presenters and the like will not go on air because they're not psyched enough. They're not pumped enough. They're not excited enough for you. And so those pressures versus work. Okay, so my mental health issue. So with all that, first of all, I'm challenged with delivery. Okay, and I have to be at a certain level every day for my listeners, for my fans. Do I have to use substances for me to keep at a certain point? Because that is usually the run-to point.
I think this really comes back to setting realistic goals. We find ourselves that we set unrealistic goals, and they really put us on a lot of pressure. You find yourself that really, for example, you've talked about the content creators on TikTok.
Yes.
Someone finds themselves that I feel like I should be like Lynn. Lynn has a big following. But you've not yet worked for that long like Lynn has. Probably she has gained this over the time. And for you are this is the beginning of the journey for you.
True.
And you feel like, really, I have to go there. I have to get viewers, I have to get followers. So you are setting unrealistic goals. Because you don't know the thought process that this person has really gone through in order to achieve what they have. So you find yourself that you have putting yourself under pressure. You are beating yourself up because you feel like you want to be somewhere. So I think we should check ourselves, set realistic goals. That's why you see some musicians taking you back.
Yes.
They say, me, I'm not under the pressure of the fans.
Some me time. I'll be like, well, I like to do this, but again, my life, my mind, my mental health comes first.
Thank you. So that means that this person is really checking themselves.
Yes.
They are really giving themselves time to do things in their own way. So they feel like they don't want the pressure to drive them in order to, I have to produce many songs, I have to do this. So meaning that they have really set goals for themselves and they are really having a plan. If it's a year, I want to produce 4 songs. And this person only produces 4 songs.
Yes. And
the fans, however much they keep on saying, we want more songs, we want more, this person is not putting themselves under pressure.
Do you remember a period, I don't know if you're into this industry, there's a period Rihanna told fans, guys, I will be back when I am ready. And it has taken some time. It took some time for her to even release albums. We have our very own Juliana Kanyomozi. She takes time to do that, and people have issues with her because they think you don't take us seriously as your fans. But we also have those people who are constantly hitting after hit after hit, and then they lose the value. Well, that's a conversation for another day. But what I'm trying to say is it is important to choose yourself. We'll come to that point of how do I cope. of the point of choosing yourself.
Yes.
And it makes a lot of sense now that you mentioned artists and creatives who say, I'm taking a break, or I schedule myself. They'll also say, I'm going to have a show a week.
Yes.
I'm going to have maybe a monthly show or something. That is choosing yourself. Now, this brings me to the next question of coping.
Yes.
How do I constantly choose myself, my mental health, my mental well-being, and in what form? How does it look like for me choosing myself?
I think it still comes back to you knowing yourself. If I'm talking about us yet.
Assuming I don't know myself, because we have very many of us who don't know themselves.
Yes, and that is why we, like you've said, we are here to support people to understand themselves. So that when you know that really these are the things that are happening to me, that means that I need to have a step back. What could be the issue? Why am I feeling like this? Why are things not falling in place? So it helps you to really, because when you are talking about some issues like even when an organization is having strategies for a year, when these strategies are not working, they still go back to the planning board and they're like, what happened? Where did we go wrong?
Yes.
So meaning that even with us, we have to learn ourselves that if I set myself that at this point I have to have a house, at this point I have to have a car, and you haven't been in position to realize those goals, do you check yourself? Do you go back to the drawing board and you're like, okay,
yes,
if this did happen, probably I shouldn't push myself. Probably it's because of this. So meaning that you have to plan. But as you're planning, do you also understand yourself?
Realistic goals.
Yes, it still comes with.
as later as we conclude the show, I'll be telling you what Fidelis Leadership does.
Yes.
We hold these trainings, and I'll tell you about it. But then, as yet, we've also seen creatives saying, I'm going to be off social media for this. And talking about social media,
yes,
I think it's our biggest challenge right now.
Yes.
We are desperate for followers, we're desperate for attention, we're desperate for relevance, and being a new media thing, it puts us in a corner. Now for creatives, I can only imagine what they have to deal with. So somebody says, I'm stepping away from social media, guys, I want to be on social media for this amount of time.
Yes.
And then when I look at this one, what are you going to do? So I think that is also another thing,
yes,
that we ought to pay attention to.
Yes, because they find themselves probably when they are more on social media, they get a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Probably they don't get a me time because people want you to when they comment, you have to answer back. So someone feels like really they're not getting time for themselves. So that's why they give themselves a break. So that is what we said, knowing yourself. That at this point, really, things are not working out for me. How about I first step back and then try to get back.
Reorganize myself.
Yes.
So, what other ways of us coping with mental health challenges?
Talk about your feelings.
I cannot be talking about my feelings to every Tom, Dick and Harry.
Yes, and that's where the professionals come in. But even before the professionals come in, do you have that person that you trust?
Trust is hard to come by, luckily.
I know. But that's why we are trying to help people to get people they can bond with. For example, you may have a circle of friends.
Excuse me.
Sorry. We may have a circle of friends, but you feel like when I talk to Lynn, she really understands me. She really has my back.
Right.
If something is happening, so sorry.
Yeah.
It could be your parents, and you feel like they are the people that I'm very comfortable with. And you're like, if I go to my mom, if I go to my dad, they will stand for me. So at that point, we feel like you can deal with this in case you are in position to share your feelings. But sometimes, like you've said, the trust comes in. That's why the professionals come in, and that's why people reach out to us. Because they feel like you're not going to be judgmental.
Yeah.
They feel like Asia doesn't know me. She won't judge me. She won't pin me to the wall. So I feel like I will be comfortable sharing my story,
yeah,
what I'm going through, so that they can give me a realistic answer.
But how many times have we walked to a friend and we've actually gotten help? How many times have we walked to a friend and they have used that against us? So when we do all that, I tend to think, and please don't get it wrong, our friends really help us in most cases. But when you face such a challenge, assuming, excuse me, I've had people reach out to me and be like, do you think we can talk? Like, I don't know this person, but they want to talk. So I sit down and have a conversation. I bet I listen. I think I thank God for that. I listen, really listen. Now, sometimes we need a listening ear, just a listening ear. And then you will feel like, oh, okay, I feel like the weight
has been lifted.
That has been lifted. So I wanted to get to a point of I can trust Teresa. I can trust Asiat with whatever it is I'm going through. Or do I just meet random people? And like you said, we must seek therapy. It is still a hard thing. People don't come off easily saying, by the way, I'm going for therapy sessions. So how do we embrace it? How do we get into that and be open and free about it?
I think it still comes back to, because most of the times, like you said, people who have found it very hard, probably they have shared at one point in time. Like they always say that if something has happened to you, you are really very very careful with how you have it. Yes.
I've heard that before.
Yes, you've been hurt. You told someone about what happened to you, and you feel like everyone got to know about it.
Yes.
So at this point, that's where the professionals come in. That's why you see people saying that, I think I would rather talk to Asiat. I would rather talk to the Strong Minds team. I would rather talk to
a stranger.
Thank you. Because first of all, like I've said, they won't judge you, and they are bound by the ethics of their profession, because we have to keep confidentiality first of all.
Yes.
And everything that we share with you is confidential. So that means that this person feels like whatever we are going to have in this space is going to be left here, and I will go back contented that whatever we have shared is going to stay there.
Yes.
So it still comes back to the ethics of each profession. That's why when you see lawyers, when people are like, no, my lawyer has my back, because they won't go back and they're behind your back and they're talking about what you've done.
True.
So still it comes back to mental health, that if you're a mental health professional, you find yourself that you are bound by the ethics of your profession, that whatever you have to share with this client, it has to be confidential. So it gives people trust that whatever I'm going to share, it's not going to go anywhere, it's going to stay there. So I feel like the ethics that we stand by are the ones that are protecting us, so that people can be in position to trust us and give their all. So you feel like someone doesn't hold back, they give all.
So Asiat, I think, I don't know, if you have any question, by the way, those of you who are on our Twitter Spaces, X Spaces, I need to get used to that. You can send in your request to speak if you have a question for Asiat, if you have a message for us, or if you want to share an experience. This is the time. Feel free, reach out on our Twitter, on our X Spaces, and let us know what your thoughts or comments are, or your questions are. And I want to ask Asiat, as we begin to wind up on this conversation, how do we normalize therapy? Because I think we all need therapy in one way or the other. Please don't be in denial, guys. We all need therapy at some point, but how do we normalize it? How do we, how am I able to just walk on the streets and be like, by the way, oh, I'm late for my therapy session, and I do not have to feel bad about it?
Okay. I think normalizing therapy, it still comes back to us being aware of what we are going through and how it has affected us. And I feel like currently that is what we are doing right now, because we are trying to make it simple for everyone, so that when you realize that the symptoms I've mentioned, that the symptoms we have talked about, you have them, you feel like, I think I need to talk to a professional. And also, like I've said, we are bound by the ethics of our profession. So I feel like people, when probably you find yourself that someone else has shared with you that I've ever gone through this and I've ever sought help. They were helpful. So it gives you an understanding that, oh, these services are there. However, people feel like they don't know that these services are there, but Strong Minds Uganda, our services are free of charge. So the counseling that we provide is free of charge. So we call upon people to come.
And it's private?
Yes.
Nobody's going to know your business?
Yes. So just feel comfortable that no one is going to know that you're there. Because of that confidentiality, you just come for your session for 1 hour and then later on you go.
I said, how do you cope with stress? You as you.
Me as me.
I know you're a mental health coach and all, but I'm sure you also encounter some stressful situations. How do you deal with it? I'm very, very, very curious.
I'm so much into being a positive person. So I make sure that in every circumstance, however bad it may come, I first look at the positive part of it.
That's interesting.
Yes,
Okay.
because it's like you giving feedback to someone. As you're giving it to them, you make sure that you bring out the positives that they've done. Appreciate lean. And then when you come to this side, it affects them less. So you have unpackaged something, but then how you unpackage it makes it more lighter on someone. For example, if to comment about Lean and I'm like, Lean, thank you so much for this show, you have done well, you have done this, I appreciate you being audible, you were very happy, you smiled. So probably if there was something else that you've done and probably it didn't work well for me, that's when it comes in. And I'm like, but however, probably you can improve on this. Yes. So
for you as you, so you're stressed, so you begin saying, I don't know, you're not like me, you cannot speak to yourself.
Like I've said, it's about being positive. When I look at
positive thinking.
Thank you. So when I look at something that has happened, for example, I have a deadline to beat. And I have limited time. I look at the outcomes of what is going to come out of whatever I'm going to do. Thank you. I look at the good and I'm like, okay, I think however much this is really cumbersome, it's very tiring, but I feel like if I get done with it, at the end of the day, I would have lifted a big load off my shoulder. I won't be coming back to this work. So I'm being positive, however much it's really dragging me down, but I'm being positive. So it pushes me ahead to finish up my work and I'm like, okay, so I'm done with that. So this other part comes in later on, but I feel like it really doesn't pull me down so much. So my positivity in the things that I find negative helps me to find that really they hit me low.
And how do you find the balance?
I find the balance. I'm someone who loves having fun.
She doesn't look like she wants to have like she likes to have fun. We actually forgot to ask, and I forgot to ask you because I was carried away by this interesting conversation. The truth about you and the lies about you.
Yes.
So now here she's telling us she likes to have fun. Do you believe? Look at her face. She doesn't look like she likes
I do. Fun. Like we've been talking about the creatives.
Yes.
I love music.
Okay.
Yes, so I find myself that's why you see sometimes people when they're in office, someone is playing music, however, they're working.
Guilty. I always have headphones on.
Yes, so you find that you're doing that and it's helping you. So you find that you try to put up tactics that help you.
To help you cope.
Thank you. In the situations where you're like, oh, how will I finish this? But I think if I'm playing music, it's going to hype me, it's going to bring the vibe like you said earlier on, and it's going to help me look at the positives and my work will be finished
and be productive.
Yes.
So we have to really pay attention to ourselves.
Yes.
And it's, I think, one of the hardest things people lately, you need to pay extra attention to yourself. Listen to your body, listen to your mind, watch your actions and see how best you can deal with your everyday situations. Now, as we conclude, give us, what is your take home? What should our viewers, our listeners here on the X Space, I see them, if there's a question, please put up your hand. Let us know if you have a question or comment, and Asiet is here to speak to you and maybe answer if you have a question. But if you have a comment, would be glad to share that as well. But As we conclude, Asiat, what do you want the people watching, people listening, the people who were perhaps dying silently, and that is in quotes because of a lack of a better word, what do you need them to know?
First of all, these are some of the tips that you have to do. You have to value yourself. Treat yourself with kindness. Yes.
It begins with a smile, by the way.
Yes. Treat yourself with kindness. Look at yourself in the mirror and appreciate yourself.
Affirmations.
Yes. And you're like, I'm smart, I'm beautiful.
But
I can do this.
I tried them and I was like, wait, I sound weird.
But then at times you find yourself that I think it worked for me. At this point, and you're like, for example, you have a presentation, you're so anxious, and you're like, I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to be better.
Yeah.
So you find yourself that you are treating yourself with kindness, even before someone else does it. So when someone else is telling you that, you're just affirming, you're just confirming. You're like, oh wow, I looked at myself in the mirror, and I think we're just confirming it that I look more beautiful. So it makes you feel good.
Right.
So with that,
affirmations.
Yes.
Okay.
Then take care of your body. Try to do some exercise. Don't sit around. Try to move. Take a walk. You may not go to the gym, but then taking care of your body.
Be active.
Yes, has to do with nutrition. What do you eat? How do you look after your body? Do you put on things that really put you on stress? Someone is putting on heels, but they're not comfortable. Yes.
Yeah, because you're supposed to, you want to fit in.
Yes. So you find yourself that really it puts you to the edge, and you're like, you're not comfortable. So how about you trying to keep yourself around people who are positive?
Yes, that's key. Very key. I see people posting oftentimes on their social statuses, and they're saying positive vibes only.
Yes.
I need positivity. Today's a positivity moment, day or something, and they're trying to kick every negative issue out of their lives. And,
yes.
And that is good.
Yes.
Right.
Because sometimes when people are negative, it's passed on to you. This person is always saying, I think I won't be able to do that. I think so. It even affects yourself, and you're like, I don't think I can manage. I don't think that is possible. But when you have people who are positive,
toxic people,
yes,
stay away from toxic people.
Yes. So when you have people who are always positive, so you find yourself that they're always telling you are going to do it.
Yeah, you're good at this thing.
You're good at it. Go do it. So you find yourself that even when you didn't believe in yourself, right now you believe in yourself and you do it.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And also try to do things that you are good at. Let's try to not specialize a lot, but try to do things that you're good at. Because you find yourself, people try to overdo things. Probably they're not good at them. However, they try to force it. But how about you do the things that you're good at? If you are good at speaking, why not speak? Get opportunities, get platforms that can allow you to do that. Because you are good at speaking, you are very audible, you are very articulate. Why not do that? So try to do the things that you're good at.
Identify the things you're good at and focus on them.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and also when you feel like all is lost, please seek for help. Seek for help. We are here to support you. And Strong Minds Uganda, like I said, therapy is quite expensive, people say. But here we are providing it for free of charge. Why not reach out to us? And we can be in position to provide it to you.
Wow, guys, I want to have this conversation over and over and over, because it talks about self-awareness, and for me it is a passionate area. Self-awareness, you've got to be self-aware regardless of whatever is around you. Self-awareness is where you will find yourself in a place that you cannot believe, because once you're self-aware, you know what you're good at, you know what you're bad at, you know who is good for you and who is not, and a lot of other things. And with that, it determines who you are eventually. And you will deal with all this negativity, you will deal with all these mental health challenges, you will deal with a lot. I don't know if I should use the word, but crap around you. So yes, as yet, I really thank you so much for your time and for really educating us on in terms of mental health, especially for the creative industry. Now, the creative industry, they say creativity is a fragrance of real health. When a person is really healthy and whole, creativity comes naturally to them. The urge to create arises. So I know you're also equally creative in your depressive moments, in your sad moments, and you put out good stuff. But trust me, if your health is at par with your body, then your creativity.
Smart 24, driving business.
Your Leadership Institute for a lot of conversation. We have the FAT Leadership Fellowship. We train leaders on a lot of things, including, among others, public speaking. We're talking about business, project management, financial education. There's so much and that all falls under self-awareness.
Yeah.
Because if you know these things, then trust me, you will be well and healthy, and your mental health will be as fantastic as Asiat says. So Asiat, on your socials, Strong Minds, can I reach out to your socials? Are you on social media?
Strong Minds Uganda?
Yes,
we are, but however you can be in position to find us in Mbogolobi.
Okay.
That is where our head office is, plot 30, Dr. Rise. That is where we are at. And,
you're in the middle of the vibe.
Yes. So probably you may find yourself passing by Mbogolobi. You can visit our offices and probably get a clear clarification of what we do. And however, you can also find us in those various offices where we are at. And we also have an office line where you can be in position to reach us at.
You want to share it?
I would love to share it. Probably let me just get it.
Okay, no problem. As she looks for that number, I want to urge you people that mental health is not a crime. Rather, mental health challenges or mental illness is not a crime. Is not a death sentence. No, it is part of life. Okay, but how you deal with these things is what matters. How you get out of that depressive moment. How you deal with the stress. But mental health. We have not talked about the mental health illnesses. No, diseases. There are diseases actually.
Yes.
We have schizophrenia, we have manic depressive disorder. There's quite a lot. Now those ones are another set of conversation.
Yes.
Another whole set of conversation. But today with mental illness, we're looking at the most commonest illnesses that you and I, the creatives, the friends around us encounter on a day-to-day life. Yes, the number, you found it? Okay, so we'll share this number maybe on our socials. You check it out. We'll share it on our socials, and we will definitely. You need